Hoi hoi, it's louisity again, and for this reading vlog, I'm going to be reading Dragon Pearl by Yoon Lee. Hoorah! So I was planning to have a buddy read with a bibliophilic Richard, but I can't wait, so I'm going to get a head start for this one. And this is, as far as I know, a Korean mythology-inspired space opera, and I thought Mark Lee from NCT might like this one, so that's why I was so curious about how I would feel about reading this one. And because I know that Mark Lee is interested with sci-fi when he was younger, so I feel this one is also a sci-fi fantasy as far as I know. So I'm wondering what will Mark Lee think and what will I think about this one. So we'll see about that. So let us begin reading this one. So here's a reading update. I just finished reading the first 5 chapters of Dragon Pearl by Yoon Lee. Now I'd have to say that I love how it tackled about prejudice and how it was discussed, because a lot of the foxes in the story choose to be female. That's how Min's family is mostly composed of, and how a lot of them choose to be female. There are only a few foxes that are male, or that choose to be male, and that kind of to me for some reason reflects on how things are. When you talk about misogyny and that stuff. So it's pretty interesting for me that it was tackled here. Something that would make you contemplate on that aspect, on that topic, and those things. And also in terms of the world, it's not sparkly, but it's something that was described vividly. How it was dusty because of the curse, and how the Dragon Pearl can help rise it up again. So it's pretty cool, and I love that there's some comic right here, and the fusion of the Korean mythology is evident, at least from my perspective on how I read it. So I'm definitely excited about how things are going to go, and the characterization is really amazing as well. It's interesting how I'm highlighting characterization lately for someone like me who's not really a character-driven kind of person. So and I'm worried about Min because she left her backpack and she left her jades, and I'm like, ooh, that's trouble, trouble, trouble. And I like the fictitious places, the fictitious Korean places that were indicated here. And, on their planet Jinju, yeah, that's the name of the planet. So she is escaping, or she escaped. And we'll see how it will go, how the story will go. I'm definitely looking forward to reading more of it. And so far, it's not too technical, which I like. Well, it's a middle grade, early teen read, so I guess that explains it. So here's another reading update. I already read more than 100 pages of Dragon Pearl by Yoon Lee. Now, so far there are so many scenes and actions and adventures that are happening so far. Now, one of them would have to be Min meeting her estranged aunt, who was into the gambling industry, and she decided now, there is a reason why she was kind of an outcast, or it seemed like her parents and her other aunts are like not really sitting well with her. Now she's a cousin of her mother, and you know, her like cousin aunt, if that's what you would like to call it, you know, is kind of manipulative. And so she escapes and she's able to now ride Red as Leia, and she's with Byung-ho. And then they were moving towards the different gates going through the next station. And then they encounter the mercenaries and they attack. And apparently one of them shouldn't have been attacked. Jang should have, I guess, remained alive. But she created a pact with Min, and you know, with the power of charm, Min transformed into Jang, and now she or he is now a cadet, and now she's trying to get some insider about like what happened to June, and at the same time, you know, indirectly she would like to know what happened to Jang. You know, there were so many things that were happening. She was kind of like still trying to adjust, and people were like surprised about like, is Jang already recovered, when actually it was Min. And the last scene that I read is that they were in a class in a weapon, what you call this, like how to handle weapons, if that makes any sense. I'm gonna try to like say it in my own words. And she has to find out that, you know, based on Youngja's statement, like June ran off with a group of people, which she's trying to figure out, and now she couldn't figure out because he also, you know, is kind of frowning and thinking that, you know, Jang or Min is spreading gossip. So what I like so far about this book is that the world, like, I feel like I'm already like in the spaceship, and I love how the spaceships are kind of described, though I have to admit, because this is sci-fi, it's not really exactly the genre that I go to. It does take time for me to actually get immersed. Sometimes I have to reread it, but so far they're lovely, and I feel the space vibes, which is really wonderful and amazing about it. I'll catch you folks later for another update. Whoa. Sorry, my hair was messy in the previous clip. Do you think this looks better? So here's another reading update. So we can see here that Min is really working her best to maintain, you know, being Jang. And honestly, there's a lot of like lessons that she's learning and like hearing and dealing with, you know, and she's dealing with a lot of punishment, like cleaning the toilet happens to be like the worst. And you know what's interesting about this is like she gets to know more about like what happened to Jang in relation to the mercenaries, right? Or mercenaries. Oh my gosh, I got tongue-tied with that one. And also she gets to have more of an idea about like June and June's dissertation or desertion, you know, whatever you name it, and how something doesn't measure up because like people can't really leave when they're gated, and also at the same time like it cannot be like they left while they're out of like outer space, because that would mean that the security is not like tied, so something doesn't add up. And you know what, with Captain Wan, I feel like you're hiding something. I feel like you are covering something up, and that little scene for me personally, I'm like, is Captain Wan really, you know, really genuinely sad? Maybe he is, but it's kind of like a timing, kind of a combination that he's definitely up for something. We'll see. I may be wrong, but so far it's likable. I've yet to honestly immerse myself fully into the plot, but overall it's likable. You know, I also like the world as well, and it's pretty cute. I do find it a little bit of more of a teenagey vibes rather than like middle grade sci-fi. Although like our character here is 13, which is like early teens, so I don't even feel like it's kind of early YA for some reason. Maybe it's because it's sci-fi. For some reason, I feel some kind of like late teen vibes or mid-teen vibes. So, well, we'll see. And, ooh, what will happen if Min doesn't find out anything about Jang? Like, what happened to Jang? You know, and Byung-ho being like a pirate, that, you know, is not impossible, especially that scene when, you know, Min was reminded about the freights, how she was not allowed to like look at them, and maybe the Dragon Pearl is there. Like, And here's the thing about the story so far. It really talks about how there are a lot of people that would have a lot of, or a lot of people have a huge interest on something, and how like a certain thing could be like so powerful. And I like the fact when, everybody's trying to capture it and making sure that it falls into the right hands, because the dragon pearl could be powerful, which, some people think that they're like myths or kind of like hearsays and all that. But who knows, if it were true, it shouldn't fall into the quote unquote wrong hands, because the power of it might be used for something bad. So it's a very interesting way to tackle it. And yep, that's it for me. That's my reading update so far. I'll catch you folks later. So it's that time again for our fake jar. Hoorah! So, you know what that means. It's about time for us to know what will be Louisity's next read. So let's shake it. Shake it. Okay, I'm going to be looking at the camera. Let's see what I got. Ooh, it's a small piece of paper. What did I get? What is this small piece of paper? This might be like a new one. Oh, yes, it is one of my... I guess we're going to have another reading vlog soon. It's piecing me together. This is a book that Jessica Nicole Dickerson recommended, so check out her channel. Well, I'm kind of out of frame. Yeah, check out Jessica Nicole Dickerson's channel. I like how this book talks about corruption, and how if something so powerful could have been shared to other groups of people, that the other groups can prosper. I like how it evoked Min's emotion about, say, how the Dragon Society wants the pearl for themselves, and their greed is being shown, and what if it was shared to other folks, and how say how Jinju could have been better if people weren't so greedy. And also, there's some suspense factor of this book, and you kind of look forward about what's going to happen next. What is Juan's character? You're going to be curious about how he thinks, and his greed or his desire for the dragon pearl. And it was just so exciting, hearing about what Min's going to be doing next, and all that's illustrated well. It was depicted really well. And what happened to June, when Min found out that June died from that mission that they did, and how it was framed other way. Oh my goodness, it's just kind of how society, what happens here in our society, sometimes there are things wherein it was framed the other way. Was how, oh, there's a plane, the plane is going to be coming over the sky, but yeah, how sometimes someone's going to be saying a story, but actually it was described in another way, and what really happened is something really different. So I like how that was vividly illustrated. So far it's a pretty good book, I'd have to say. And Sujin is a non-binary character. Sujin's pronouns are they, so if you're looking for a character who is non-binary, yes, this book has it. So I just finished reading Dragon Pearl by Yoon Holly, and I'd have to say that revelation about June shook me away. I felt like it was kind of timely, at least personally for me. Probably when I filmed this what I meant by timely, but I like the way that they sort of tackled about how the spirits just wanted to have a proper burial, and how they just wanted to rest in peace, and just have that sort of closure with their lives. So that was wonderfully done. And to me personally, the ending for me does have some sort of a cliffhanger. I felt there needs to be some more closure to it. So I think it would be very interesting how like the companion novels are going to take place, and I think like the third one is kind of like a direct continuation to this one, at least as far as I know. I mean, I don't really read a lot of synopsis, but I kind of like, just sort of, like skimmed a little bit of it, like just to like check about like the character names, and I think I saw some of the character names that I found here in the third book, and yeah, I believe that it's just right that this book, still had like succeeding books. I felt like in terms of being a standalone, it really does need to have like a continuation. There are some things that need some closure, and I'm definitely excited to read like the succeeding books. And I love the characterization of this book, like how you can tell that, um, people of color, could also be horrible as well. And it's kind of like with the society I'm living in, not all, we're all people of color here from where I'm at, and it's not like all people here are nice. So what do you say about that? Anyway, overall, at first I was like, I had some trouble like really having a better understanding of the world. Maybe it's because, like I said, in terms of sci-fi, it's not really like my cup of tea. It's not the genre that I go to, but I felt enjoyment reading it, even if there were times when I had to synthesize the events. Like I needed more time to synthesize them, but it was so fun, and I love like the ending. It was really heart wrenching, like towards like the latter part of the book. It was heart wrenching, and I was amazed. So that kind of boosted my reading experience. So I'm giving this book 4.25 out of 5 stars. If you've made it this far, leave a sun with a smiling face emoji. And I hope you folks liked this video. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also, click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. I also put down links and handles on my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you super much for watching. Always be thankful and unleash the reader in you. Bye, y'all.